Alpine heads into 2021 with a new name, a new look, new management, and a not-so-new superstar driver. But for the team formerly known as Renault to give Fernando Alonso a car worthy of his talents, it needs to prove it has the technical strength to do more than bounce around in Formula One's midfield pack. While Alpine won't be more than an upper midfielder this season, it must show signs of consistent progress after some encouraging signs last year if it is to prove it has the potential to make a big step forward with the new technical rules in 2022. Its launch wasn't the most encouraging start, with the stuttering livestream not presenting the most positive impression of Alpine's technological capabilities. Alonso may be 39 years old, but he remains as fast and determined as ever. Not only will he extract every fraction of a second of performance from the car, but he will also pull no punches when it comes to challenging the team's weaknesses. That matches the ambition of Alpine's ownership, Renault Group, which failed in its original objective of emerging as a title-challenging force in 5 years after buying the team at the end of 2015. After all, it may look like a newcomer in its Alpine blue livery, but this is a project in its 6th season, and the pressure on it to deliver is growing. Make sure you subscribe to the race so you don't miss any of our F1 pre-season coverage, and hit the notifications bell so you know the moment there's something new to watch. The car. The Alpine A521 was launched with its definitive livery, combining the red, white and blue of the flags both of France and the United Kingdom. As Renault Group's CEO Luca De Maio put it, the livery has the simplicity and strength of a flag, French and English, engine and chassis. It contains all of the strength of the team. So we can be sure that, if corporate nonsense about liveries is worth lap time, then Alpine will set the pace. The team has a long history of releasing new car renders and even physical cars that are very much dressed up versions of the previous year's machine. Alpine has continued that tradition to the point where really the livery is the most striking change. While the regulations mean this is very much an evolution built around the structure of last year's Renault RS20, there are nonetheless a few visible changes. The front wing assembly is more evenly loaded across the flaps. Alpine also appears to have lowered the outboard end of the front wing mainplane. This will increase the load on the outboard ends of the wing. The compromise here is the sensitivity to the ground. This area of the wing changes in height when the car is loaded up mid-corner, and this can make the car feel very nervous. But of course, front wings for launch cars can rarely be trusted. The side pods also appear to be a little slimmer thanks to the tighter packaging of the evolution of last year's power unit package. While the team has been vague about exactly where it spent its development tokens, it has confirmed they were used at the rear of the car. Much of its resource has been focused on the rear because of the impact of the floor regulation changes, but the exact impact has yet to become clear. Beyond that, it's the same changes we've talked about in other F1 launch videos, with the triangular cuts in the rear of the floor, the elimination of the slots, shortening of diffuser vanes, and rear brake duct winglet reductions. We'll learn a lot more when we see the real car in action. It will have its first shakedown on a promotional day at Silverstone on Wednesday, March the 3rd, ahead of pre-season testing in Bahrain 9 days later. The management. The transition to become Alpine over the winter has been a troubled one. Initially, it was just about a new look to adopt the niche Alpine brand as part of Renault Group's new strategic direction. But it coincides with management upheaval thanks to the unexpected departure of team principal Cyril Abiteboul. Abiteboul was set to have a wider Alpine role that included heading up the F1 team, with Suzuki MotoGP boss Davide Brivio joining in a role that has now been called Racing Director. This was all part of new Renault Group CEO Luca De Maio's vision, which has been disrupted by Abiteboul leaving. The resulting reshuffle led to Laurent Rossi's appointment as Alpine's CEO. Marcin Budkowski had been widely expected to become team principal, but remains as executive director. Budkowski is in charge of the development of chassis and powertrain, with Brivio overseeing track activities, with both reporting to Rossi. Effectively, this splits the team principal role in two. How this all shakes out could have a decisive impact on Alpine's prospects, particularly for 2022. Not only must Alonso be kept happy, but there's also the need to balance up 2021 development and next year's car design. This means some tough decisions will have to be made, and strong, decisive leadership will be essential. Performance trend. After taking over the underfunded Lotus team in December 2015, Renault made rapid progress. It finished 9th in 2016, climbed to 6th the following season, and then a midfield leading 4th in 2018, with Nico Hülkenberg and Carlos Sainz behind the wheel. It was so far so good for Renault's aspiration to fight at the front in Year 5, despite not matching the budgets of F1's top teams. Things then became tougher. In 2019 it was relegated to 5th by McLaren and only beat Toro Rosso by 6 points, although its performance gap to the front was at least fractionally smaller. It became clear that Renault lagged behind aerodynamically, with its best performance at low downforce tracks like Monza. As a result, changes were made, with technical director Nick Chester departing and Pat Fry and highly regarded aerodynamicist Dirk de Beer taking over, albeit too late to have an impact on the fundamentals of the 2020 car. After a shaky start to 2020, things started to look up thanks to a step in setup understanding early in the season. That allowed Daniel Ricciardo to take a breakthrough podium finish at the Nürburgring, adding another at Imola. But despite being in the thick of the fight for third in the championship, and Esteban Ocon's second place in the Sakir Grand Prix, Renault ultimately finished 5th. To improve on that this year, and give Alonso a car worthy of his abilities, the Alpine A521 must be stronger aerodynamically. Let us know in the comments how you think Alpine will do in 2021, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.